I do. I have a few additional tales that somehow slipped my mind before, but which I'm now ready to share. These ones tell tale of outlandish, Pyandonia, Akavir, and Yakuda. Which one would you like to hear about?
To love is to know the true nature of the gods.
During one of my idle experiments with the Elder Scroll I had seized from Morrowind, I wanted to go as far back in time as I thought possible. I opened the same, and gazed at the endless temporal patterns for what seemed like an eternity, until I looked away, and saw a marvellous sight. Great towers of steel plated with shining glass lined the streets, and the multicoloured glow of neon lit my face in an ever-shifting dance. Mechanised vehicles zoomed past, leaving a foul taste of smog in their wake. Yet I was elated, for somehow I had managed to return to a place akin to home. I relaxed in a hotel suite that night, and dreamt that I had never embarked on this known experiment to begin with. The next day I awoke, and promptly began to study this land in detail. Everything seemed to be efficiently powered by harnessing infinitesimal amounts in controlled reactions, and phenomenal computations were made possible by tunnelling through the fabric of all possibility. I gazed at the endless layers of city above me, and suddenly wanted to know who was responsible for all this. Suddenly I heard a tremendous roar in the background that shook me to the bone, and saw a great space shuttle with the emblem Magnus Industries slowly ascend into the heavens, and suddenly had a sinking feeling. I infiltrated their complex around their launch pad with a growing sense of disillusion, and found a crew member who in all respects seemed to be an old one like myself, yet I sensed no mind when I gazed into her eyes. With my sword at her neck, I asked her where Magnus was, and the astronaut merely pointed upward with one quivering finger. I nodded, then on a sudden note of impulse and realisation, beheaded the same, and recoiled when I saw wires and sparks instead of blood. I donned her uniform and mirrored helmet, then traversed the vacuum of coldest space on the next launch until I reached an orbital space station. Something about the heavens seemed to miss. Then I realised that the great sphere of chrome and titanium I had just entered was emitting light and heat from one face with the fury of a sun, and the same around which Nern was orbiting was cold and dead. With help from the plaques on the wall, I marched into Magnus's office, only to hear slow, sarcastic clapping. "Bravo, Orlin. You've managed to discover the truth, and now have sought me out here, atop the edge of the world." "Yes," I responded. "Nern has been cold and dead for 1,000 eons, and this world is on the brink of being lost. You've managed to keep one singular island alive, but not physically, like you or I. You, Magnus, have just failed the Nern experiment, as I once did." He gazed at me with a pity akin to the death of the closest kin, then spoke in a monotone. "Yes, I did, as have you. We thought we could escape into our own dreams, and each shape our own perfect world, yet it never lasts. One flaw, one mistake, one imperfect vision is all it takes to bring it all down. I have endured here for many an eon, because once my world was perfect, and has been so for nigh on 5 billion years. Yet that is nothing compared to eternity, and I am tired, so very tired. I am beyond ancient, both in body and mind, Orlin, and despite it all, I still could not wake and end this exercise in futility. Life, the universe, and everything, all of that means nothing now, and I crave nothing but oblivion now. Yet this world cannot last after I am gone." "It can," I told him with a spark of fury. "You may have lost hope in everything, but all it takes to change everything is a singular shift in perspective. I see why I've been brought here, but if the modern world is to rise once again, yours must fall. I can grant you the finality you seek, but first would ask for your trust." He merely nodded, then watched as I sat in front of his computer and charted a new course for his great orbital station, then activated the quantum self-destruct system. We made our way to an escape pod, as the station drifted ever closer to the dead sun. Magnus saw me program our coordinates for a landing in the Topal Sea, looked surprised for a moment, then understood. With but a single command entered into his wrist-bound computer, Aldmeris was suddenly shattered by a nuclear holocaust and sank into the sea. As we descended, his space station collided with the burnt Sol and tore asunder a tunnel between worlds, where new light began to shine forth. And then I could suddenly feel the mind of the emissary next to me. "Do it," Magnus said, and I obliged. I gazed into his eyes, and gently washed away every aspect of his memory and personality, which was reflected in the world beyond, and then silently bade him to sleep one last time as I returned his body to light. The capsule shook as we entered Nirn's atmosphere, and as we splashed down into the primordial oceans, I could see a hint of greenish plankton outside the window. A new intellect would one day arise, devoid of cold, mechanised logic. Satisfied, I opened the Elder Scroll again, and returned to the present time, yet with new knowledge of how this world had come to be. The winds of discord sow the seeds of redemption.